If you have followed my channel for any time, you know that I often refer to Eskrima as the art of adaptability. And there are many people who see that Eskrima is just stick fighting or stick and knife fighting, and they don't understand that it's so much more than that. Here you see me training with a walking stick, a shillelagh, which is an Irish weapon, but let me tell you, I'm applying Eskrima with it. Eskrima is adaptable to many weapons as well as empty hands. And when you fall in love with this art, everything you do ends up becoming Eskrima. And that is not an insult to the art or taking away from the cultural significance of Eskrima. I do teach some pure Filipino art, but everything I do is filtered through the lens of Eskrima. And that isn't against the principles of Eskrima. Look at many systems that have been influenced by Japanese martial arts, by kickboxing, by jiu-jitsu. Why, modern arnis, probably one of the most popular Eskrima systems in the world, was heavily influenced by Wally J and small circle jiu-jitsu. This is a principle of Eskrima. Eskrima will take from other systems and adapt it to theirs. The Filipino people were very practical when they developed these arts, because they even took from their enemies. They took from their colonial oppressors and developed their own systems. And these systems were even used by rebels fighting against the oppression in the Philippines. The Cañete brothers and the Doce Para system took lots from Japanese jiu-jitsu and karate and aikido and applied it to Eskrima. This was something that was done throughout history. The connection of Spanish saber fencing to modern Eskrima is well documented. According to historians, the indigenous Cebuano people were taught Spanish fencing by the colonials when they were suffering from invading raiders causing havoc. Apparently, this is where the 12-angle strike systems came from, and what eventually evolved into what we see as modern Eskrima. This spirit of adapting to your enemies is something that is still alive today, but instead of adapting to our enemies for the most part, we adapt to the different fighting cultures we get exposed to. We adapt from the different combatives that we get exposed to, because in the end, Filipino martial arts, Eskrima, really was a combative system. It was bare bones and a straightforward survival-based martial art. And modern Eskrima still contains some of that spirit, but a lot of that practical simplicity has been replaced by fun and artistic training drills that are just a lot of fun to do. This is one of the reasons I actually like Filipino martial arts, because it gives me a lot I can play with and practice, but at its core, it's brutal and effective and a dirty fighting system. And the cool thing is, anything I want to add to this, from Muay Thai, from the different knife combative systems that I train, anything I want to add from anything that I train in, I can adapt to my Filipino martial arts. It doesn't mean that I'm changing my art. It means I'm embracing that spirit of the old school Eskrimadors who believed in bringing in whatever is practical, because what we're training for is survival. At its core, Filipino martial arts is purely a survival-based fighting system. And while it can be beautiful and artistic, there's always that hardcore part of it that exists within every Filipino system. It is wonderful. This doesn't mean that it's better than other systems, and it doesn't mean that I don't think that the other systems that I train are valuable. I do think they're very valuable, and I feel they give me a different perspective on my Filipino martial arts that is very helpful. In fact, I think it's Muay Thai that helped me see the value of the Campo 123 original from a pugilistic perspective. Even though the Campo 123 original has no empty hand training in it, I could see as a stick fighting system, it is so incredibly practical and valuable. So when you see Eskrimadors practicing things from other systems, you may recognize the techniques from different systems like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or karate or boxing. It doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't Eskrima. In fact, if they're taking from other systems, they're following the old traditions of Eskrima to take what's practical and apply it to your system. Long before Jeet Kune Do existed, Eskrimadors were taking what is useful and adding it to their system. They were taking what was useful and bringing it into their Eskrima because they were more interested in survival than cultural heritage at the time. Now, in our modern era, things like cultural heritage, fun, enjoyment, art have more place than survival skills, possibly. You could argue. But for me, I approach Eskrima from a survival-based mentality because that's just what I enjoy. That's just what I fell in love with. That's why I fell in love with the art. Do not get me wrong when I say this. The art, the tradition, all of these things are part of what made me fall in love with Eskrima. The humility that I see in most Eskrima masters and grandmasters is incredible. And the mythology and history that may be true or may not be true, but it creates the culture that I really enjoy. I love hearing the stories of these old grandmasters who were warriors and fighters and street fighters and survivors of things like death matches, or they were guerrilla fighters in World War II. I mean, the stories are endless and they give such an amazing background to these skills and this training. And this is another thing I love about Eskrima. But at its core, the most important thing to me is the survival-based skills that you can get from Eskrima. But my love for it, my total passion for it, doesn't just come from that. It comes from the artistry and movement. It comes from the adaptability. It comes from how it connects to a culture that I'm not part of, but love to be an outsider on the inside. I love the whole community that is around it, and I love just the artistry in motion. Eskrima is lethal, but it is also beautiful. It comes with an amazing group of characters who embody this warrior spirit and pass that on. Some of my grandmasters are amongst the most charismatic and fun men to be around. This art is a wonderful thing. And if you want to learn more about it and you want to go deeper into it, please support my Patreon. I have many lessons up there and I try to post a few more every month. This helps keep this channel going and it helps me to spread the knowledge and love of Eskrima. Thank you.